Right, what do Germans strive for? The best. Everything must be the best. In Germany, there is a lot of competition. It's rigorous, but not ruinous. So German companies do not try and put each other out of business. That's why you have Mercedes and BMW and Audi actually all coexisting in the same market. They are not into wrecking each other's business. They will find better ways of getting the business by being better. Tend to aim for market share rather than dominance. They work on a basis, it's called Preis-Leistungs-Wettbewerb, which means they want to provide the best product for you at the most acceptable price with the best customer service. That is the aim of most German companies. When you look at their visions, somewhere in there, that's what you will see. Understand that difference. If I was talking or I was analysing American companies, an entirely different situation. And German and American companies, when they merge, have enormous problems because their thinking is entirely different about coexisting or dominating. Quite important is the working with government. Very different to New Zealand, where we really just want government to stay in the corner and don't get mixed up in our business. In Germany, government is expected to support, help, do whatever is required to get the industry up and running. So for example, the solar industry, photovoltaics, for years the industry was provided with subsidies. I had numerous discussions here with the likes of ECA and various other organisations about providing some sort of incentive to New Zealanders to be able to put PV on their roof or whatever, because it's a logical thing for this country to do. Oh no, can't possibly have a subsidy. Oh, bad word. Trying to explain this to Germans was really, really difficult. They just couldn't understand why the government didn't want to help your industries do better. I actually found this one just recently. I had to apply for, or one of my staff is applying for residency, and I was having a little look through the advice to employers on bringing in skilled labour from overseas. I thought, oh, this will be interesting. And actually it was very interesting. The one thing that I thought they did do quite well, and I probably would have ranked it slightly differently. So this is status, and this is how important rules are. Here's New Zealand. Don't really give a stuff about status. Rules, not really. Germany, I would have probably popped it there, not there. I think that they are status conscious, not as much so as some of the Asian countries where status really is a really, really important thing, but they are quite status conscious, but they are definitely rule focused. I probably, would have done like South Korea. They are very, very rule focused. This was a study that was done on Germans and New Zealanders a couple of years ago. Probably I should do a new one. In fact, we used to actually hand out a thing at the workshops and collate the answers afterwards and plonk them into this as well. Germans are in black, Kiwis are in blue. The things that we were looking at is how important is it to be conviction driven? How important is it to you? It was pretty even. Germans were slightly more conviction driven than New Zealanders. Learning, big difference. Germans, I call it overlearning. If you do not have a master's degree, you are nothing. I am not a doctor, and it will be forever my problem. Yeah. In New Zealand, learning, I think it is becoming more difficult. I think that you do need to do more studies than you probably used to. But in Germany, it is absolutely, you don't just have one degree, you have two, and you have a master's and something or other on top of that. And by God, you put all of that on your business card. Very important. Most important. Audibly ready. This means if something goes wrong, are you well prepared? Actually, the Germans are not. They're not. They analyse themselves as not being well prepared in an emergency if something goes wrong with something. The reason being is they've planned it so well that something actually shouldn't go wrong. Kiwis I talk to, yeah, well, you know, oh yeah, if it doesn't go, oh, we'll do this if it doesn't work out that way. Oh, you know, we've got plan A, B and C, and we'll get it done. Entirely different way of thinking. Germans actually just say, it'll work, that's it. New Zealanders know that there'll be some problems and we'll get there. So quite different in this particular thinking pattern. Consistent behaviour. I would have actually probably ranked that more extreme. I think Germans tend to be far more consistent in their behaviour than New Zealanders. New Zealanders, as a country, change very quickly as well. Because we're a small nation, you know, we can suddenly have a privatisation or a reform or whatever. So the way that our whole country works is not necessarily consistent. Time planning is also quite different here to Germany. So there's all those things that make you consistent are quite different. And the very, very important one, and you said the word before, honest. Honesty in Germany, please never forget this. Honesty is the most important trait that a person can have. There is no such word in German for white lie. There is no such thing. It's either a lie or it's not. And if it's a lie, you're not worth having in the room. It's as simple as that. It's not about being nice to people. You know, the video, go back to the video. It's not that he was being personally critical of the girl in the kitchen. He was stating the towel stinks. Honesty. It's not meant to be a personal attack. It's just they are straight out honest. When you are dealing with Germans, be absolutely honest. If he asks you, can your product do this, this and this, and you're not sure, then you say, I'm not sure. Not, well, possibly, but we might have to do this and that. No, I am not sure. Keep it really clear and straight, and no waffle and no diplomacy, just straight out. They will not feel personally insulted or anything like that if you are direct with them. So you just have to actually learn yourself not to take things personally when you're dealing with them. If I speak German to a German, I start off with a stranger using the Sie form of you, which is much more formal. I certainly wouldn't call them by their first name. And the whole language is structured slightly differently because you're using this formal you, or Sie. The people that you have an informal language with are those, your family around you, and of course your close friends. And I have one of the best stories I can tell on this. Within the Ministry of Economics, which is the ministry I work for in Germany, I had been working for probably 18 years with this gentleman, and it had always been Herr Klaus and Frau Surges, and he came to our last Asia Pacific conference, and it was his last conference, and after that he was going to be leaving. So he came up to me at the bar after the day's conference, and I had a glass of wine and he had a beer. He held up his glass of beer and he said, "My name is Ralph." And I went, oh, okay. And I remembered this old tradition, and he was very traditional, where you actually take the glass, you link arms and you drink. And after that, you can use the informal duel. That's how serious it can be. Business cards always include your degrees on your business cards. So if you're an exporter and you're trying to sell yourself to a German company, your degrees on the bottom. If you don't have any, find someone else to do the job. First off, the handshake. Never like this. You never try and push the person's hand over. In Germany, and even my son, from a very early age, we taught him how to do a handshake. It's that important to them. It's body language, and I'm sure you learn it in body language courses here as well, the whole thing of dominance over your hand, pushing somebody's hand over, or being weak and allowing someone to do it to you. It's always a straight handshake, and it's a strong handshake. I had a young guy in the office just recently who's about to set up a business in Berlin, and he had this lump handshake, and at the end of the meeting I just couldn't help myself. He gave me this handshake and I went, "Oh, you're never going to be able to do business in Germany." You know, it was just such a reaction because it was just, there was nothing strong, and I'm going to be a successful, good, healthy, whatever person. It gave the message of everything that was wrong. So a handshake, practice them. Go around work and actually just practice them. Say, what does my handshake feel like? The other thing is that women expect to have their hand shaken. In New Zealand, I never know whether to put it out or not. In Germany, I never have a problem. Put straight out. And women normally will give you their hand. If they're Germans, they will give you their hand. But you should expect to shake a woman's hand. And in actual fact, if it's a social occasion and you're being introduced, the woman would shake hands first, so the woman is always introduced first. In a business situation, the introductions always happen by rank, with the lowest introduced first. So the last person you get introduced to is theoretically the person you should be talking to. In German organisations, it's always the employees. I get this in the morning, I walk into the office and everyone goes, "Hi!" It's always the employees that greet the boss, not the other way around. Here there's sort of, I don't know, there's this American thing of the boss walking around the office, "How are you, how are you, how are you?" I've seen it in the Auckland Chamber, I'm going, "Whoa, that's really weird." Very different.